Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's that time of the week again. We are talking pharyngeal dysphagia tonight.
Yes, we are.
Welcome to anyone that is new to the group. We are so happy that you're here. So the way this works is we are going to talk about a topic. I'm Cat Ludwig. I'm a registered dietitian.
And I am Stephanie Pepper, and I am a speech-language pathologist.
A little over a year ago, we created Dysphagia Duo because we saw that people were not getting the support and the information they needed about dysphagia.
Right.
So we go live every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we cook something.
We do.
So chicken soup for the soul tonight. And we're using what we have on hand. We did not go to the store for this, so you know what we haven't gotten out yet? Chicken.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Just realizing, I got all the veggies, you got the broth. So here we go. All right, everyone. So Stephanie's going to talk about pharyngeal dysphagia. Last week we talked about oral dysphagia. I'm going to start soup.
Use as much.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'll throw that into our pot as I'm ready. I'm going to start with veggies first.
Okay.
I have these fancy egg noodles. So we live in Amish country. Well, sort of. Near Amish country.
We're very close to Amish country.
So there's this restaurant. I've never been there, but it's close by. It's called Essen House. So we have Amish egg noodles to do tonight. They take between 12 and 20 minutes to cook.
Oh.
Which is excessive, I feel like. So,
they're dense then.
As opposed to most egg noodles, which take like 6 minutes to cook. So, one of the things that we know about dysphagia, and when we're blending pasta, is that
you have to overcook it
every time. So, I have broth going on the back, and we're just going to dump some noodles in, and I'll set a timer here. I'm just going to let them cook.
The beauty is we won't need as many for soup as we would for, say, spaghetti or
So the
pasta.
other trick I'm doing here is I'm cooking the noodles in the broth.
That will help flavor them.
And we won't have to add as much water in the end. But our broth is pretty strong, so we may want to add some water depending on the flavor. But we'll figure that out here in a few minutes.
Yes.
So I'm just going to throw, we're simmering nicely. I'm going to throw noodles in.
Yeah, do it.
And set a timer. All right. So, Miss Speech Therapist,
yeah.
tell us.
Well, there we go. Hold on. Now I got it.
I think I started to give instruction too and then stopped. So, cook something. We talk about a dysphagia topic. That's my brain today.
We're a little scattered. We're a little scattered, but that's not unusual. That's so not that unusual. Is just us.
We're us. We're awkward. We're lovable. And we love you. So,
but we have a lot of information.
Yeah.
So much information that we want to share.
Yep.
And that it's just bursting at the seams for us.
It is. And I'm really excited about these topics because we're seeing more and more people that want information. So, hi, Cindy. Hi, Karen. Glad you're with us.
Hello, ladies.
Please ask questions.
Yes.
I'm going to start with some oil,
all right.
Onion and garlic, carrots, turnip.
So I'm going to start by reviewing the oral phase.
Beautiful.
First, which is what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about the oral phase, and there's actually even a phase that's before the oral phase that we didn't talk about last week, and I should have. But that's the preparatory phase. That's the pre-swallow phase.
Right.
And what that basically is your swallowing mechanism preparing for food to go down through the system. And what that requires is salivation. So we talked about it a little bit, but we didn't talk about how it is. That's why it's so important for you to be able to smell food, that you eat with your eyes and your nose first. And because it makes your mouth water. How many of you have gone to grandma's house and your mouth just starts to water when you walk through the front door because it smells so amazing and you know what you're about to get?
Right.
So that salivation is so very important to preparing the beginning of a meal.
Yeah.
So that's the beginning. We talked about oral phase dysphagia last week, where problems with the strength or coordination of the mouth, starting with the lips, the cheeks, the jaw, having teeth, being able to have the tone to keep food from filling up your cheeks and chipmunking it, or food from falling down under your tongue or in the sulcuses of your cheeks. You need to have enough tone in your mouth to be able to maintain the food in one, what we call bolus. So it's kind of like a little ball. You want to keep, so if I say bolus, I mean you should think of it as a little ball, sort of. And so your tongue has to continually, if you're chewing food, your tongue has to continually move the food back between the teeth, the molars, so that it can be chewed. And then your cheek has to be able to hold it in so that then you can move it back up under without it falling out here. So that all of those things are very important to get the food to a point at the back of your mouth, at the base of the tongue, and that's where the pharyngeal phase starts.
Right.
Flip that over.
Flip that over.
Yeah. It's just stained and I don't like it. Okay, so we're going to start tonight at the base of the tongue. So
This is George.
you read my mind.
We like George.
Yes. So this is fumble fingers.
It's all right. We'll
Sorry.
forgive you. We'll forgive you.
Okay, so base of tongue is right in the back. So where the uvula hangs down, the hangy down thing, as some people call it.
Yep.
That's the uvula. Around that place, so around the area where your tonsils are or would be, is essentially where the pharyngeal phase starts. That's where a swallow is triggered. So you have to have a swallow trigger. So you have to have sensation in there to be able to trigger a swallow.
Right.
Okay? Now, if you are hypersensitive, you may gag.
Yep.
Too much, or that's why a lot of people have trouble with pills, because it triggers a gag before it triggers a swallow.
Yeah.
Because the gag trigger and the swallow trigger are pretty much the same place.
Right.
So think about it too much, you may make yourself gag over things. So anyway, we can talk about the think about it too much another time, because that's a whole story by itself.
Right.
So you have to trigger a swallow. One of the things that we as speech pathologists do is we time, believe it or not, how long it takes for you to trigger a swallow. Okay. So keep in mind that you have to move food from the front and middle of your mouth.
I just had a light bulb pop on.
Wait,
Sorry.
let me finish this.
Okay.
You can't talk yet.
Okay.
Hold that in your head.
Holding.
Okay. So you have to move the food from the front and middle to the back to trigger a swallow, okay? So that the timing starts after you are done chewing and have moved it back. How long does it take?
Right.
So that's, if you hear a speech pathologist say there is a pharyngeal delay, we're counting that in seconds.
Okay.
Because technically it should happen in a second.
Okay.
Now, what's your thought?
So I read a lot of speech therapy reports at the nursing homes that I work at after someone has had a swallow study. So there's this cool little mobile van. It has a speech therapist and a doctor.
Yep.
They come to the facility to do swallowing MBS, or modified barium swallows, with people.
Yep.
And I read the reports afterwards, and a lot of time it'll say 2 to 3 second delay. So it's clicking. So these are things that I know, but until I don't know clearly, because I just went, oh, that's what that, okay, I get it. But it makes sense, because we have a lot of clients that chew and chew and chew, and then they stop, and then they chew and chew, because they just can't get it.
They can't move it to the trigger.
Right.
To the trigger point.
Right.
So
I'm adding herbs. I have thyme, rosemary, sage, and then we have dried oregano. All of these herbs are anti-inflammatory, immune boosting, etc. So why is chicken soup so good for you? Because it's got onion, garlic, carrots, chicken, all of the things that are great for your immune system.
You know what I've also heard is because it's salty from the chicken stock, that changes the, not necessarily pH, but and it helps to kill.
Well, if you think about it, you're told to gargle with salt water when you have a sore throat. So yes, so all of the things about this are really good. It's full of electrolytes. These electrolytes in the broth, the protein in the chicken, use bone broth when you make your chicken soup if you're sick. It's got extra protein. It's really good for you, especially when you're sick. We want that protein in you. Bone broth is a nice, easy, painless way to get it in.
And you can get it in single servings now too.
As long as you're timing it out. If you don't swallow easily, we want you to time it out. Get a small vessel, have a little bit every half hour or hour when you're sick.
Yep.
Don't do more than you can handle. So,
says the dietitian. So listen to her. Anyway, okay. So we were talking about the delay at the pharyngeal level. So the delay is about how long it takes to initiate that swallow. Why do you think, Kat? Oops.
Adding broth.
Why do you think that having a delay at the pharyngeal level is bad?
Well, all of the muscles are supposed to move together in a certain series.
Yep.
And if you have a delay, then that throws things off.
Yes, it can. So you may have discoordination, which is contributing to the swallow delay.
Okay.
You could have sensory things that is contributing to the swallow delay.
We hear that
but
all the time. Yep.
Also, if you've moved food back and you can't initiate that swallow,
you are
immediately you are at risk for that bolus, that ball of food, to get away from you
and go in
because
the wrong
there's less
space.
Voluntary control at that position in your mouth,
right?
And the risk increases.
Yep. Okay.
So with a delay,
perfect sense.
Your risk increases. So if you hold things in your mouth a little longer than most people do to swallow, there is a risk. Now, if you can manage, one of the things that I do is I teach people how to manage that delay.
Right.
If we can't get it started right away, then what are we doing with it in the meantime until we can start that swallow? And we also talk a lot about how can you consciously initiate a swallow. So that's another thing that we do at the pharyngeal level.
10 minutes for our noodles, so I'm throwing those in.
Beautiful.
We still have more broth, so I'm going to add the rest of this broth because we want some of that extra salty, delicious. We're just going to
You better taste it because it may be
extra salty.
I anticipated we would add more water, so taste it.
I did add water to the noodles.
Okay.
So we might have just enough.
Okay.
I think it's good.
Okay, good.
I added enough water.
Okay, good.
You should always taste test your stuff in small amounts.
Yes.
As you cook.
Hi, Megan. What if you do have a delay, but they didn't write it in the report? Does it affect treatment or diagnosis?
That's a good question.
Well, how do you know you have a delay? Just because you do hold it, or did they say that during the evaluation? I guess I'm wondering why it wouldn't be in the report if it's identified as a problem. So because I'm holding it, okay? Because because it is a symptom that is affecting you, okay?
Yep.
So I am a firm believer in treating symptoms and not diagnoses.
It's one of the things that makes us different,
right? So, does it affect the treatment or diagnosis? So, it depends on your therapist. So, some therapists, so most therapists who work in traditional healthcare have to have a diagnosis to treat because insurance won't pay without a diagnosis.
right?
Okay, that's another reason why we're different. I I don't need a diagnosis because I want to treat your symptoms.
We can help you without a diagnosis.
Right. So, so one of the things, when I do my evaluation for Dysphagia Duo, I am doing an evaluation of symptoms. I will look at the strength, I will look at the coordination, I will look at all that, but I also look at the symptoms, and that's how I develop a plan of care. Because if we don't treat symptoms and we only treat diagnoses, then we're losing a big part of the picture. Yeah. So I would say yes, it can affect treatment and diagnosis, but that is mostly dependent on your therapist, who you're seeing. So good question.
So talk to your therapist and ask questions. That is a great question to ask your therapist.
Yep.
Yeah, that's treating you right now. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. So pharyngeal delay. That's why the initiation of the swallow, holding, and if you're holding it in your mouth successfully and not allowing any of it to get away from you, that may be why. I don't know. I would have documented a delay though. Anyway,
everyone's different.
And I think the longer you have that that delay, the more I think there's an anxiety component to some of that. If you're working and trying and thinking and working and trying and thinking,
it makes you think more.
It makes you think more, and the more you think, the harder it gets.
Right.
So there's this vicious cycle that happens in that swallow delay, especially if you're not aware, or if you are aware that that is happening. It tends to get worse. And then the worse that delay gets, the more those muscles get kind of locked in the wrong sequence. So it truly is a vicious circle.
So I know you guys are watching me chop this chicken. I'm chopping it because when we have these long fibers, it's harder for the blender to do its job, and it's harder for your teeth to do their job. So we are making this into what I'm going to call is a soft and bite-sized already before it goes in to get even more soft, and before we blend it, so that it's easier to blend and it's easier to chew if you're going, if you're going to chew it or take it in small bites.
Right. So this is pulled chicken, and that's just what we're using. You can use cubed, you can use whatever, but I just had a bunch of pulled chicken, so that's what we're using. There may be a few hot peppers in it too.
I'm thinking about adding a couple to the soup.
You
I'm
should.
not gonna lie.
Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to look at the pharyngeal level is once you do initiate a swallow, I want to know how. So when you swallow, your larynx, which is your voice box,
Right here.
yeah. So on boys you'll see it more prominent, and on girls you won't. So if I'm evaluating you, I'm going to ask you to put your hand on it, so that I can see where it is. But your larynx has to rise and come forward a little bit, and there's muscles that do that, and there's also your hyoid bone. So there's muscles attached to your hyoid bone, which is kind of like the what is that? The wishbone kind of looks like a wishbone. It's shaped and it's above, so it needs to pull up and out. So that's another thing that I'm going to look at. The reason I'm going to look at that is because it is very important for your larynx to rise and go forward, because so this is your vocal cords, this is your larynx area here. So what, and the esophagus is in the back, okay? So we want food to come out of the mouth and go down the back, which is the esophagus. We do not want it to come into the airway, which is this way, okay? So if your larynx comes up and forward, it is helping to pull the airway forward and open up the esophagus. Okay? This little flap right here. Why am I losing?
It's the epiglottis.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
totally lost. I guess
all right.
I don't know what it is. The epiglottis comes
does
down,
know.
covers the airway, but that larynx has got to rise and pull forward because it's going to pull that whole airway forward and make that epiglottis flop down
Right.
and cover the area so that it opens up the esophagus.
So
I'm on the wrong side.
clarification here. Do not do this on yourself and freak yourself out. If you don't know what you're feeling for or looking for, do not do this and freak yourself out, because you may have nothing wrong. And so if you have questions, you need to call us, because Stephanie can walk you through that, and we do a lot of, it's okay, you're fine, there's actually nothing wrong with a lot of people. So just disclaimer.
And just FYI, it's not like massive movement.
It's not.
I mean, you're not.
So every time I watch Stephanie review someone, I'm sitting there doing this, and I'm still like trying to figure it out in my own head.
Yeah.
And I see her do this all the time. So just to it is, Karen, it is very complicated.
Oh yeah, and so what's happening too? I didn't even talk about. So that's what's happening. That's why I'm looking for the larynx. So I'm asking you to put your fingers here so that I can see how far it moves. Again, it's millimeters. It's not that far, but I need to know how far. But the other thing that's very cool is that this is the back of the tongue. When you're swallowing, the back of the tongue is helping to move it down also. And what's happening is this posterior pharyngeal wall is making contact with the back of the tongue to help push it down. Okay, so a lot of the exercises, for those of you who are watching and have gotten some exercises from me, you know that I sometimes give you exercises that relates to the back of the tongue. And I may have you doing some other weird things also that help this posterior wall move toward the tongue instead of the tongue moving towards it. Mm-hmm. So there are so many things that we can do. But again, I'm not going to give you particular exercises unless I know what it is that I'm treating. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to tell everybody what those exercises are, because it may not be good for you to do that. It may cause more fatigue. So there's a balancing act that we have to do, because it's very important that you use the muscles, but you also don't want to overuse the muscles and then not get enough nutrition. That's why Cat and I work together, because the nutrition that you're getting in must be more than the calories you're burning, so that you can sustain, so that you can use them
and regain that muscle.
So
Megan asked, can you see that movement on virtual appointments?
Okay, good question.
Yes.
So I never can see the posterior pharyngeal wall or the base of the tongue, but I can see your larynx moving. So I ask you to put your fingers, and
we like you to be on a computer, not a cell phone, when she does this, so that it's a clear picture. So she can see it. It's pretty fascinating.
We've done it with people on phone before too. They just have to get it really close. I've asked the one the other day.
Yeah.
Can you put that a little closer?
Yeah.
So yes, I can see how far the larynx moves, but I will never be able to see, even if you were in my office with me, I would not be able to see the base of the tongue or the posterior pharyngeal wall. Those are things that are seen on video fluoroscopy or modified barium swallow. But you'd be surprised at what I can hear during your swallow.
I'm always surprised at what she can hear during you eating and drinking in front of her, even if it's virtual.
Yes, and based on what I'm hearing tells me a lot, because what's happening is I'm always going to have you talk to me after you swallow. And these vocal cords are going to vibrate after you swallow. And what happens is I can hear anything that's left over in there, even if it's in the pharyngeal area, in the piriform sinuses, or in the vallecula, which is behind the epiglottis. See, I do know my stuff. You know your
stuff. You just had a aphasic moment.
I couldn't find that word. You'd be surprised at what I can hear.
Yeah.
I've done this for a lot of years, and hearing things means more to me. I think my sense of my auditory sense is greater during a swallow than most people.
I would agree. It's always fascinating to me, because I heard this and I was like, how? Because I don't know what I'm listening for. That's why.
Right.
Because she's trained. Anytime you're really good at something, you're trained and you're honed in on that thing. Like, I look at people's hair, skin, fingernails, their mouth, their structure of their face. I look at different things than Stephanie does. And so I'll ask if she noticed something and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So this is why we work together with this, because I see things nutritionally that she doesn't, and she sees things with swallowing that I don't, because neither of us has that other's training.
So not how I was trained. Right.
Yeah.
So, very good question. So the next thing that we'll talk about is, did you cough?
Oh, yeah, symptoms.
Did you clear your throat?
Mm-hmm.
Did you, again, so some people will swallow and, well, I'm going to notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's going to notice that.
I'm starting to, just because I'm watching you and I'm learning from you. But it's not an every time thing.
Right. So that's telling me if you have to clear your throat after you swallow, it tells me something is in an area where it didn't feel good, so you had to move it. So it doesn't mean you're aspirating.
It's like
doesn't
having
mean
a
you
hair.
aspirated.
It's like having a hair on your eye. You're like, this is bothering me. Well,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's a problem. It just means it's bothering you.
It means it's in the way, in the
Right.
wrong place.
Right.
So so there's so much things that tell me a story. Another thing I'll look at is, does it take more than one swallow? Are you swallowing twice sometimes? Mm-hmm. Do you swallow before, during? Do you cough before, during, or after a swallow? So it's timing. There are lots of things that I'm looking at for that. So repeated swallows. I'm gonna ask you how it feels. How does it feel? Do you feel anything after you swallowed? And you may tell me, yes, I'm feeling something right here. Well, that's going to tell me, if you feel it here, it means it's not right there. It means it's somewhere else. Because it's always a referred feeling. So it's probably going to be a little bit higher than where you're feeling it. Mm-hmm. If you feel it here, it's probably up a little bit farther in the throat. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of
the way your sensory system works.
Yeah.
I'm putting some Lorna Doones in the little food processor
because that's dessert.
Because we're also making dessert.
And it's going to be yummy. The soup's done already?
Yeah, you want to try it?
Yeah. I do.
I didn't get out spoons to begin with. I just wanted it to cool just a little bit before.
You give me the big mouth spoon.
You want the little mouth spoon?
No.
Here, take a different. No. Well, these are all the same.
I want the big mouth spoon.
Did I get the noodles cooked enough? Mm-hmm. Or do I need to let it go a little farther?
That's yummy.
Is it tasty?
It is. It's a little bit salty. But that's how chicken soup is supposed to be, I guess.
And remember,
once we blend it,
we're going to need to possibly adjust the seasoning. So we may not need to add salt once it's blended.
Right. Because once you break down those noodles, more of that salt's going to be absorbed into it. So,
yep. Right.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
impromptu chicken soup with what we had on hand. Don't make it complicated. You can put any veggie in it you want.
Yeah, I think we even have turnips in it, right?
Yeah.
We even have turnips in this soup,
Yeah.
and it's delicious.
You can't even tell.
Okay, so complaints of food being stuck. I'll want to know where. Where does it feel like it's stuck?
Yep.
And if you tell me, well, nothing feels stuck now, I shouldn't say most. Some people are like, oh, of course, it's going to be a perfect swallow now.
People say that often, actually.
Yeah, they're like, this went great. This is
do
not
it now because you're watching me. No. Steph will still probably hear something, even if that's the case.
The thing is that I want you to understand is that I believe you. Because I do know that you have good days, you have bad days, and if we you are setting yourself up for success just by being alert and focused and trying to make things happen so that I can see it. Mm-hmm. And of course, because you're all about it, it's going to go great.
Right.
But I'll ask you a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm. All right, blending. Oops. Okay, my cap wasn't on all the way. Sorry.
So we did want to screw on the top. For those of you who haven't seen in the past, if you screw on the top with hot, it creates too much of a pressure. Too much pressure.
And I should have used a regular towel. I shouldn't have used a paper towel. I was thinking I was going to be able to hold it. I got another towel back here that I used as my hold, please. We're looking at getting the top that vents, which will be very helpful.
Yeah.
Let's try this again.
I think we need to get that.
No, I did not burn myself or anyone else. We're probably going to have to blend this a few times because it's chicken and noodles, but we don't want to blend it too much because it'll get too starchy because of the noodles.
Right. But we can add more liquid if we need.
Yep.
Okay, so I am going to talk. I'm always going to make you talk after you swallow something because I'm listening. I'm hearing what the vibration of your vocal cords are vibrating in your pharynx, basically. So a hoarse, a gurgly, a wet sounding. You're good. Wet sounding voice. I often say it kind of sounds like you're talking underwater. Now, some people have that naturally, and it doesn't bother them. I happen to know people that do that, and I'm like,
I can't help but clear my throat to help you clear yours.
I'm trying to hint. You need to clear your throat. But that's one of the things that I'm going to look for. And then I'm also going to want to know about any feelings of reflux or regurgitation.
Yep.
Because believe it or not, reflux can come as high as the base of your tongue. Reflux can come up as high as your nasal cavity. And a lot of people actually have reflux and don't even know it.
Yeah.
And until they start having these issues with swallowing because of the essentially burned mucous membranes, they don't know it.
Right.
So that's called silent reflux. And that can cause a problem if you never knew before that you had reflux.
Right.
Because then the mucous membranes don't slide well on each other. And then as the mucous membranes don't slide well on each other, the muscles that are underneath those mucous membranes stop moving as well as they used to as well. Yep. So many things going on there. That's basically the pharyngeal level, the pharyngeal phase of swallow in a nutshell. Once the food enters the esophagus, which is here, the upper esophageal sphincter, UES, is here. Once the food enters that area, it is beyond the pharyngeal phase and it is in the esophageal phase. And that we will talk about next week.
Yes, esophageal is next week. So do you want to... So we're making a dessert shake. I have not... I'm going to do these both at the same time, so...
The coordination amazes me.
Okay.
Just an unused.
That's an unused spoon, yes.
Okay. So we are making a, do you say caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
Do you say caramel or caramel?
Is there an extra A in the middle for you or no? How do you say caramel? Or how do you spell it? Let us know how you all...
Well, it's spelled the same way. It's C-A-R-A-M-E-L. That's why I asked. I said caramel until I moved to the Midwest. Everybody here says caramel.
Yeah.
But that's not how you spell it.
Well, but I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and
you say caramel?
I say caramel.
I'm not saying I said it right. I'm just saying I changed it because, people look at you funny if you don't say things right.
Yes. Okay. So now that I've got that, I'm going to...
Caramel. Thank you, Kara.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I said it. But I say it, I don't know. I say it every way. I don't know. So we're making a caramel.
Karen, yep.
There's our soup. Oh, that's so smooth.
So if you've watched us before, you know that we like to serve our purees in beautiful dishes.
It does not need anything else. It is so good.
So it's somewhere between a level 3 and a level 4, both ways. Caramels are candies. Caramel is gosh, Janet, I love this. So smart, Janet.
Oh, who knew? Now I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the herbs in here are delightful.
Very, very intense herbal flavor. So.
Okay. So I put the 20-ounce on dessert because I always get a little nervous with anything that we add protein to. Okay. So we are doing a caramel apple protein
smoothie
with Lorna Doones,
because that's the crust. Lorna, just FYI, Lorna Doones, do you have the package?
Yes.
I don't know if anyone has ever seen these, but Lorna Doones are very good to use in things that you would want, a crust or what have you, because they absorb liquid very, very smoothly.
I'm going to crush them up a little bit more.
We could even put it in here. She's going to do it more. So it will absorb to completely smoothness. So that's why I like to use Lorna Doones, and I remember these from my grandpa, because my grandpa used to eat these crushed up in milk.
That's a great memory.
It is. So I was excited to find Lorna Doones in the store.
So should I do a little bit of evaporated milk in the...
I think just
here?
putting it in.
Put this in here?
Putting them in together. Yeah, it will definitely... You have a little...
I'm the messy one.
Well, no, it's just interesting that you're just a little bit off today. Like your pouring is all a little...
Yeah, it is. But
that's okay.
I can't even describe what's going on.
That's
Should I
why,
do all of it?
Yes, it will still be very smooth.
I believe you. I was just thinking thickness-wise.
We'll add, but we've got plenty of space to add.
True story. And that's why I like this larger.
Yes.
Haven't seen those here in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't...
You may be able to get them on Amazon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lorna, let me get it closer. Oh, I forgot. It's Lorna Doones. It's like a butter cookie. What do they call it?
It's a
shortbread cookie. So any shortbread cookie should be able to. Okay, so I also have apple butter. Now, I make my apple butter not quite so thick because I have this thing about thick, slimy fruit.
She does.
This is not slimy. How much do you want me to put in?
However much you want, because you know I like apple a ton. So you put in as much as you want.
Well, I've told you how many apples we got this year, right?
Yeah, so
we're going to put a bunch.
Put in extra, because we've got like 16 pints to go through.
We have more than that. That's
We're
just
gonna
how many I made this weekend.
Oh, okay. We're gonna make a lot of apple stuff this year, guys.
Yeah.
So if you have ideas for apple stuff, let us know.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
apple butter.
Apple butter, and I also have a lot of applesauce. So, okay.
So evaporated milk.
Shall I do that?
You're gonna do it, yeah, because I cannot be trusted. Oh, this smells delightful.
That is my favorite.
So this is salted caramel protein powder. 1 scoop is 30 grams, which is just over an ounce volume, but weight. I guess it would be, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, not important. So it looks a little bit bigger than a normal scoop. All right. We can adjust as needed.
That looks amazing. Now we could put, so there is cinnamon in the apple butter, but we could even put cinnamon in there if you wanted. Yeah, or you could add cinnamon.
So this ended up being 14 ounces. The evaporated milk, 1 serving size is 2 tablespoons, which has 2 grams of protein. You did like half of the can, which is 12 tablespoons. So that's 24 grams of protein.
So this is super packed.
Plus 25 grams of protein. So this has 50 grams of protein in it. So you could split this into 2 portions and do 2 7-ounce portions and have a good high protein shake today and then maybe tomorrow. You could add a little bit of thickener to this and add whipped topping on the top and make like a pudding. You could, I mean, there are a number of ways that you could do this. You could add a little bit of xanthan gum. If you have just xanthan gum, that would thicken it. You could add the traditional dysphagia thickeners. Totally up to you. Shall we try it?
Yes, we shall.
I'm gonna let you pour.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you.
It's okay. We know that I'm the messy one.
Well,
I'm okay with it.
you are a little bit messy.
I am a little bit messy, and I own it.
But you know what? That's okay, because that's why we have dish rags. That's why we have washing machines.
Yeah.
It works for everyone.
This soup thickened the longer it sat. So, oh my gosh, this soup is...
You know what? There are so many things that I think I like better pureed than in what we make. And this is one of them. This is better pureed than it was chunky.
So, chicken noodle soup pureed. You want to overcook the noodles a little bit.
Yes. So, this poured very smooth.
It looks thin, too.
It's thinner than the soup is. So, cheers. Oh.
I guess to those Lorna Doone.
But I don't feel the crust. It's completely smooth.
I don't feel any cookie in there at all. It was probably just enough to thicken it slightly.
I might would add a little more apple.
Heck yeah, I would too.
I'm coming around.
When I met this woman 7 years ago, she would not go near cooked fruit.
Oh. Slimy.
Texture. Texture is a big deal for people.
I have a texture issue.
And if you have a texture issue,
it's getting better.
That can mess with how you swallow.
Yep.
It's real.
Yep.
So people, I've heard a number of times from people this week, the speech therapist told me to go home and eat. The doctor told me to go home and eat. Well, guess what?
What was the one the other day that you had? Just go and eat some pizza.
Yeah.
Just go eat some pizza.
And
it's easy as that. Just go eat some pizza.
Healthcare providers, if you're watching, don't say that to people. It's mean. It's cruel. It's not right. Don't do it. I said my thing. Okay.
So we will get off of our soapbox, and
we're here to support you all.
Hope that you have an amazing protein, nutrition, and nutritionally balanced meal tonight.
Yep. So,
that's what they said to me. Kara, I hate that.
It makes me angry. I'm going to stop there.
That's why Kat and I are doing what we're doing. Yep. Again, I believe you.
Yep.
I don't need to see it.
Yep.
But we're going to treat it.
Yep. Because we believe that what you feel is really happening. And if you say it's happening, people need to listen because it's your body and they don't know your body. I got started. I said I wasn't going to.
Right. Well, here's the deal. So a lot of it, this is my soapbox, is that I think that possibly a lot of what you're feeling is just not understood. And if your brain doesn't understand what's going on, it increases anxiety. We all, if we don't understand something, unless you're so laid back that nothing matters, but how many people are like that?
I think I know one. And that was like almost 20 years ago, and he was the most chill person I've ever met.
But
sorry, reading. I've been passed from person to person telling me that yes does increase my anxiety. Of course it does. Because people are telling you that what's happening in your body is not real.
Right. So it is my goal for people to understand what they're feeling.
Yep.
And we can talk through it and say, no, that's exactly the way it's supposed to feel. But for many people, they don't know that.
Right.
They don't know that what they're feeling is the normal way, but you've done it the abnormal way for so long that it doesn't feel right.
Right.
So it's a whole brain connection thing.
Yeah.
That's another soapbox of mine. So gut-brain connection, gut swallowing connection, it's all controlled by the brain. And if I can help you to understand what's going on, that's going to help you.
Yeah. I have a friend who focuses on breathing. I know you heard about this randomly.
I did.
Not directly from me. She helped me. I didn't know I had a problem. My diaphragm was so tight that I had a breathing problem for years. And so I got my nose addressed because that's where my breathing problem was. But because I'd been compensating for how I was breathing for so long with my shoulders and my back and my neck, my diaphragm was like in knots. And so she virtually had me do what she does with people. And it was weird because I took a breath and I was like, I feel so relaxed. This is weird. She's like, that's because you're breathing through your nose without effort. And I was like, that's what that feels like.
Crazy.
And it's been 2 years since I had nose surgery.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. So you are feeling what your body is telling you to feel. Don't let someone else tell you that's not true because they're not in your body.
And you're feeling it. And it's causing a problem. Whether it should or not, it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
It's causing a problem that has to be addressed.
Yes. That's why we're here. That's what we do. That's why we want to encourage you, support you, empower you, advocate for you. All of these.
All of the above.
All of these things because you need it. You need someone to support you. So that's what we're here for. If you need us, we're just a quick phone call, text, email, message away.
Kara, I would love that.
Yeah, you should. You should, Kara. We'd love to talk to you. You're one of our regulars on our videos. We love seeing you. So yeah, please reach out. We'd love to talk with you.
Yes.
And for any of you all out there, get your protein in. It's going to help you with this pharyngeal problem that you're having.
I do not get paid by the Rule 1 people.
We don't get paid by anyone that we talk about.
No one. But this is my favorite protein. I put it in coffee. I put it in milk. I put it in this apple pie, caramel apple pie. I don't know. I feel weird saying it now.
I love it. We'll do a couple of recipes with the stuff that we made tonight. And I'll try to get those out here over the weekend. I'll try to get those out. So
this is yummy.
Yeah, it is. Also, if anyone's looking to book a call with us and you go to our website and you go to the book a consultation, if you're on your phone, you have to go up into the corner where the 3 dots are and open the menu and you'll see the book a consultation until we get that fixed.
Yes. We're going to move that button, but for now it's in, you go to the hamburger or the 3 little lines and it's in that drop down. And if there's not a time that works for you, reach out to us because we may have something else that we can move around to fit you into our schedule.
We because Steph works full time and I still work almost full time. We want to make sure we're giving you the time that you need and that you deserve to get the help that you need. Even if that means we just give you some recommendations on what to ask your providers. Yeah. So we're here for you.
You guys have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next week. Bye.